fairly controlled settings where I determine an angle, I light everything, and I've got ultimate control over what the people do and all that. So it's very, I make the scenario basically. Again, when it's a narrow beam, you need to be more or less smack dab in the middle of it. What I like, the satisfaction I get from the teaching aspect of things is because now, yes, it has been my 17th year as a pro this year. And there's a lot of baggage, experience that I've absorbed through success and mistakes. And exposure to different things, whether it's out there in a dirty plant or in the studio under a more controlled environment, dealing with people, dealing with the art director, dealing with the models, dealing with the factory worker, getting union guys to do something for you, all that sort of interaction. Now I bring this, all this mixture of all these years into the classroom at Pikto. And if you overexpose, first of all, you want always separation between your subject and background to be able to light them separately without the front lighting influencing the back and vice versa. Problem is if you say, oh well, you know, Jean, I mean, white is white, why don't I just go crank it up 5 step over just to make sure that it's white? The problem we're going to have with that is that at one point, if you overexpose this white too much, the white itself will become a light source. And now you're going to start to see backlighting hitting the shoulder of your model, starting to give glare to your camera. So there is a limitation in how white you want your white, because at one point there's no whiter than 255, 255, and 255 in digital term. What I like is if I can give that student a little bit of that flame in the eye, that creative spark, and add at the end of the workshop, whether it's lighting, whether it's portraiture, whether it's night photography, or the Montreal trip that we have upcoming this summer, it's really to bring them an additional tool for them to put in their photographic toolbox. And after that, you know, they can come out there and see the excitement. I get emails thanking me for, and just that warms my heart basically. And seeing them sending me pics afterwards to see how their own personal photography improves, that's where the satisfaction, that's where the kick gets in for me. The difference in shutter speed will be different, but here's the general principle. You determine your flash exposure with the f-stop of your diaphragm, of your lens. Because I told you, for flash exposure, shutter speed does not matter. It's the flash, right? And you control your ambient light with the shutter speed. Because since one is this, a flash, the other one is ambient. So the shutter speed says how much ambience am I going to allow to come in. Do I want it weaker than the flash? Do I want it the same? Or do I want it stronger than the flash? So that is basically 2000 here, because if you want it really the flash to be stronger, and why Cuba? Well, because Cuba, well, with its history being the isolated island that it is, the regime that they had through, they produce the best amateurs in the world. And I said, well, I always liked the history of Cuba, I've studied it, and then I like the boxing, so I decided on Cuba as the focus. So the kind of imagery that I went for was very different than my day job as a photographer. It was mostly about being like a fly on the wall and let the moment happen. And I went to photograph there from when they start them at 8 years old in the gym up to the Olympic team. And yeah, meeting all that sort of, process that they go through. They're very regimented. It's a little bit like they've got, a little bit of their abilities. You can feel the Latin rhythm into what they do, but at the same time, it's very regimented training from the Soviet era. A lot of their methods were also brought on by the Russian, that kind of Olympic training from Soviet era. So it makes it into a unique blend, and yes, the decor were, very, the gym, the equipment, very primitive, but yet it doesn't stop them from becoming the best in the world because they have the desire to excel. So I wanted to represent that in photography, a little bit like a homage to their tradition and to their achievement. So yes, I do enjoy the teaching aspect, and I myself, I will always be a student of the photography art. There is always something I myself can learn, and then if I can transmit that, whether it's on software, whether it's on lighting, on photographic approaches, workflows, I absorb it, and then I like now, I've never been a very secretive guy because I always say it's the eye. So the formulas that I apply, they're all open. All my experience is very open to the students. And they can have it all, and then hopefully it brings them to the next level. And then they can come back and we bring them another level again.